What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. We have a slightly different background today. If you're a YouTube viewer, if you're one of my monthly coaching clients, this is a very familiar backdrop for you. This is where we do our weekly check-ins at. So today we are going to be doing something that I think is going to be pretty fun. We're going to be going through a supplement tier list. So for those of you guys who are kind of familiar with the whole concept of a tier list, we've got a bunch of supplements down here, and we are going to go through and rank those in terms of which is better and which is worse. So a couple of things that I kind of want to preface before we get into this video. First, I am going to be basing these off of whether or not they are worth your money. So obviously we have a lot of supplements here. Basically, what I kind of want to rank these by is which of these supplements should you actually be looking to invest your hard-earned money into? Because we got a lot of supplements that are out there on the marketplace. And some of them, in my opinion, are essentials and you should be using them. And then some of them, in my opinion, are a complete waste of money. And that is kind of what I want to go through today. So I am basing these off of whether or not the results that you will get from this supplement are worth the money that you invest into it. Second, we are not going to be going over specific supplements in this video. Obviously, down below here, I have a lot of specific supplements from different brands. I am not going to be going over that specific supplement. I am going to be going over the category that that supplement falls in. So for example, for the serious mass down here, this is for mass gainers. Spoiler alert. I am not going to be talking about the serious mass product. I am going to be talking about mass gainers as a whole. And then finally, guys, I'm sure there's some sort of supplement category that I forgot in this video. I made a list myself, and then I put up a post on Instagram and TikTok, and I got a lot of great suggestions from you guys. But inevitably, there's going to be a couple of things that I forgot. I'm a human being. I'm doing my best to kind of cover all of the main ones. So just kind of cut me some slack there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get into these supplements and let's start ranking them. So first things first, caffeine. In my opinion, caffeine is an A tier supplement, just absolutely undebatedly. I think that the research on caffeine is extremely straightforward. It blunts fatigue. It promotes alertness. It kind of awakens our nervous system, for lack of a better word, and kind of shifts us into a more fight or flight type of response, which is perfect pre-training. I do think that caffeine itself is an incredible performance builder. And if you are just buying straight caffeine tablets, I think that it is so unbelievably cheap that you would be a fool not to purchase it. For example, I have some caffeine pills that are in my supplement cabinet right now. There's 100 pills in the bottle. Each pill is 200 milligrams of caffeine, and I think that I paid probably $5 for it. I mean, they're basically giving the stuff away. So caffeine, in my opinion, is without a doubt an A-tier supplement. You should be using caffeine if you are not. Next, let's go with intra-workout carbohydrates. So this is Axon Sledge's Demo Day, which is my preferred carbohydrate intra-workout product. I think it uses a bunch of awesome carbohydrate sources, cyclic dextrin, Carb 10. I think it uses Palatinose as well. It uses a mixture of a couple different carbohydrate sources, and it has some hydration and pump ingredients in it as well. There are lots of really good intra-carb products on the market, but the Axon Sledge Demo Day at this point in time is my personal preferred one. So I think that intra-workout carbohydrates are a C tier supplement. I do think that they have some very applicable benefits, but I think that those benefits are more beneficial in certain particular times. So in two instances, we're going to talk about either extreme of the bodybuilding spectrum. I think that intra-workout carbohydrates can be very beneficial during a dieting phase, which kind of seems like counterintuitive. You know, if you're eating a really low carb diet, and let's say you're only eating 100 grams of carbs per day, does fitting some of those in the intra-workout perimeter really make sense? Well, if you're thinking about that from an appetite perspective, it doesn't, because if you're only eating, say, 100 grams of carbs per day, putting 25 of those in an intra-workout shake probably isn't going to do a whole lot for your appetite. But in terms of training performance, I do think that they are very applicable and very beneficial when you are in a caloric deficit. If I am only eating, let's say, 100 grams of carbs per day, each one of those carbohydrates becomes more sacred, let's call it. So when I'm at peak off season and I'm eating 800 to 850 grams of carbs per day, that my carbohydrates aren't sacred because I'm eating so many of them. My muscles are always full with glycogen. I'm never going to be depleted of glycogen. But as the total amount of carbohydrates in the day comes down, my carbohydrates around the workout perimeter specifically become more and more and more important. If I only have 100 grams of carbs in my day, I would like to allocate the vast majority of those, if not all of those, to the workout perimeter, because maintaining my training performance when I am in a low calorie diet or a low carbohydrate diet is priority number one, undebatedly. And by using an intra-workout carbohydrate product such as Demo Day, that gives me a really easily digestible, easily usable, and very beneficial carbohydrate source to use around the training window. Now, on the flip side, let's say we fast forward to a peak bulk and I'm already eating 800 grams of carbs per day within my daily diet, and my body weight is not increasing, and I need to find ways to get more food within my day in order to get more calories in. Intra-workout carbohydrates are great products for that because they're liquid carbohydrates, obviously, and kind of what I talked about with the deficit, they have a very little impact on your appetite. So if I'm someone who is really, really struggling to get in my food, I can put 50 to 100 grams of carbohydrates intra-workout during my shake and knock out an extra 200 to 400 calories that way. So I think no matter which phase you're in, whether you're in a bulking phase or whether you're in a cutting phase, I do think that intra-workout carbohydrate products are beneficial for you. I don't think there's something that's going to be like a magic formula for you. It is going to completely change the game for you. But I do think that they will help your recovery and may help with your soreness during the actual training process. Like I said, there are a lot of intra-workout carbohydrate products out there on the market. Demo Day from X and Sledge is my personal favorite. But for the most part, if I have people who are using 50 grams of carbohydrates or less intra-workout, I get great results with Gatorade powder. It's very easily accessible and it is dirt cheap. I get a big jug of Gatorade powder. I don't know how much is in it, probably like a couple thousand grams, maybe 2,000 grams or something like that. And it cost me like $8 to $10. It's very, very, very cost effective. So I think that intra-workout carbohydrates are a great product, but I don't think that they're a necessity by any means. Next, curcumin. Let's talk about curcumin. So I am of the opinion that curcumin is an A-tier supplement. I think that curcumin is something that everybody should be taking. Specifically, I think that this curcumin here, the Life Extension Super Bio Curcumin, is probably going to be the best one that you can take, or one of the best ones. Super Bio Curcumin uses what's known as BCM95 curcumin, which is a very potent form of curcumin that has been shown to be a little bit more bioavailable in the body. Curcumin has a slew of health benefits. It is a very potent antioxidant and anti-inflammatory. It's a very common ingredient that is in a lot of joint formulas. Just tons and tons and tons of literature on curcumin being very beneficial just for overall health markers. Like I said, I think that this is an absolute necessity supplement for anyone who is training really hard. especially if you're an enhanced athlete. The PEDs that you're going to have in your system are also going to cause just total higher levels of inflammation throughout the body. And so I think that if you are an enhanced user, the super bio-curcumin is one of those like non-negotiable supplements that you absolutely should be taking, no questions asked. Next, let's get into creatine. So we're on a roll with these A tier supplements. I think that creatine is also an A tier supplement. Now, we can technically hit our creatine levels through red meat. Amongst many other foods, red meat seems to be the one food that has the highest total levels of natural creatine. From what I have gathered, you're going to need to eat around a kilo or about 2.2 pounds of red meat per day in order to be hitting your creatine intake. I've had periods in my life where I've eaten that much beef per day, but I understand that that is definitely not normal for a lot of people. And so the supplemental version of creatine seems to be quite a bit more beneficial than just kind of getting it naturally through your food. There's a lot of different, opinions on creatine, different types of creatine, how long we need to take creatine. Do we need to cycle it? Do we need to load it? There's a lot of different things. My personal opinion is that taking 5 grams of creatine monohydrate per day is going to give you absolutely everything that you could want to get from creatine itself. So within the past year or two, creatine did become considerably more expensive. There was a creatine shortage. I'm sure if you're, a supplement guy, you probably noticed that your creatine was causing quite a bit more. But as of late, it seems like the prices of creatine have kind of come back down to their previous prices. And so because of that, I do think that creatine is a non-negotiable supplement. Like I said, 5 grams per day. When you take it in the day is very irrelevant, it seems. There does seem to be some literature on creatine having glucose disposal agent type effects, meaning that it can help kind of regulate blood glucose a little bit. So if you're someone who's really, really anal and is trying to be super optimal and is trying to get absolutely everything that you can out of your creatine, I would probably take your creatine with a carbohydrate containing meal. I specifically take my creatine on training days with my intra-workout carbohydrates. But again, that's realistically just splitting hairs. The literature on it is pretty straightforward, that as long as you're taking it on a daily basis, the timing of it becomes less and less relevant. But I do think that creatine is an absolute staple supplement that almost everyone who takes their training seriously should be using. Okay, next, let's talk about aminos, specifically BCAAs and EAAs. So the picture here is from Like a Pro supplements. They're very, very reputable supplement company created by Jeff Long, who is a former IFBB pro. They make incredible supplements and they make a very, very good BCAA, EAA product. I am of the opinion that BCAAs and EAAs are a D tier supplement. I do not think that they are necessary by any means, with the exception of one very specific population, which I will talk about in a second. But for the most part, if you are hitting your daily protein intake and the vast majority of your protein intake is coming from protein sources that are high in BCAAs and EAAs, such as your animal-based proteins, any type of meat, eggs, dairy, whey, anything like that is going to be very, very potent in BCAAs and essential amino acids. And if you're hitting your daily protein intake with the vast majority of your protein coming from those sources, a BCAA and an EAA supplement are, in my opinion, not necessary. There's a meme picture that I've seen of a guy who's swimming in a pool and he's got a water bottle and he's pouring it all over himself. And the caption is, taking BCAAs when you're hitting your protein intake. I'll try and throw that up on the screen here to kind of make the point. But basically what that picture is trying to represent is that if you're hitting your protein intake, supplementing with additional amino acids is probably a waste of your money and is probably not necessary. If you're eating tons of animal-based proteins, you're always going to have amino acids that are floating in your bloodstream and that are going to be available to be used for muscle protein synthesis. Now, the one demographic of people who do benefit very largely from a BCAA or EAA supplement would be vegans. So the vegan protein sources the common protein sources that you'll see, lentils, plant-based protein powders, amongst a lot of other ones. While those are, in some cases, complete proteins that do contain all 20 essential and non-essential amino acids, when we compare the amino acid spectrum of a meat-based protein such as beef to a plant-based protein such as brown rice, there is a considerably larger amount of BCAA and EAAs present in the animal-based protein sources, and that is significant for muscle growth because the EAAs and the BCAAs are mainly responsible for triggering muscle protein synthesis and preventing muscle protein breakdown. So if we're eating 50 grams of protein from beef and 50 grams of protein from brown rice, yes, they are both 50 grams of protein, but there would be more BCAAs and EAAs in the beef, which would therefore make the beef a more anabolic protein source. It will stimulate muscle protein synthesis larger, and it will degrade muscle protein breakdown less. So if you're a meat eater, I do think that BCAAs and EAAs are a D tier supplement, but if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, these become exponentially more important, and in that case I would shift those up to either a B or an A tier supplement. But if you're eating chicken, beef, eggs, whey, all of those things, I would save your money. You realistically do not need to buy an amino acid product. The next supplement that I want to go over is electrolytes. So electrolytes are kind of another one of those supplements like the aminos where it kind of depends on the situation in which you are using them. All in all, if I had to guess, I think that electrolytes are a C tier supplement. If it's something that is getting taken during the winter time, I do think that this could either be a D or an F tier supplement. And in the summertime, I think that these can be a B or an A tier supplement, depending on where you live and the circumstances in which you train. Like how hot is your gym? Does your gym have AC? And all of those types of things. The main thing with electrolyte powders that you want to look out for is that you're getting an electrolyte powder that also ideally has some minerals in there. So when you're looking at electrolytes, we obviously have sodium and potassium and chloride and zinc and a bunch of other ones, but there are also minerals that we should be looking at. Manganese, magnesium. I mean, I could go on and on and on about all the different types of minerals and stuff that we could find, but ideally you would find an electrolyte and a mineral powder. I have no idea what company makes this particular electrolyte powder or what the ingredient label basically looks like. But all in all, I think that electrolytes, they're typically pretty cheap. It's not something that's really going to break the bank, but I personally will really only use an electrolyte supplement in the summertime when it gets really, really hot. In the wintertime, I'm typically not sweating as much, and obviously a good way to think about this is the more that you're sweating, the more electrolytes that you're losing. And so if you're sweating more and more and more, then the electrolytes become a much more important supplement, in my opinion. So if you live, maybe you live in like Florida or something, or California where it's fairly warm year round, I do think that the electrolyte supplement would probably be like a B tier supplement or something in there. But for the most part, if I had to generalize, I think that electrolytes are a C tier supplement. Not anything that's going to bring you crazy benefits, but it also doesn't hurt you either. And as cheap as they are, you can't really go wrong with an electrolyte supplement. Fat burners. So super, super common one. I may ruffle some feathers with this one, but fat burners, in my opinion, are an F tier supplement. I just don't think there's going to be any fat burner that's out there on the market that's going to be worth your money, realistically. A lot of the over-the-counter supplement fat burners that you find are not going to increase your metabolic rate any significant amount to the point where you're going to notice anything crazy from them. all of the fat burners that work are not legal. You know what I mean? So a lot of the supplements and things that we take in order to actually have substantial increases on our metabolic rate, you can't just go to the store and buy. So a lot of these over-the-counter fat burners are just overhyped, over-marketed, watered-down versions of a lot of those stronger fat burners that don't give you anywhere near the results. They may put some ingredients in these fat burners that may like elevate your body temperature and may make you sweat a little bit more, which may give you the perception that you're burning more calories and that your metabolic rate is higher than what it actually is. But realistically, the main ingredients that are in the fat burners that are actually doing anything for you are probably not doing those in too much of a significant amount. It's very common for the main ingredients within these fat burners to be caffeine, maybe some green tea extract, some L-carnitine, amongst many other things. And the caffeine itself seems to be the most popular and the most potent of the metabolic igniters. And if you want the benefits of all the caffeine, then you can just come and buy caffeine pills and get all of the metabolic benefits of the caffeine for dirt cheap without having to spend 50, 60 bucks to get an over-the-counter fat burner. That is basically just a caffeine pill with a bunch of extra unnecessary BS in it that has been over-marketed to lead you to believe that it's going to get you shredded. So over-the-counter fat burners, in my opinion, are definitely an F-tier supplement. I can't think of a single one right now that I've ever taken in my entire life, and I can't foresee any that are coming out in the near future that are actually going to be worth the money that you have to spend on them, because some of these are just ridiculously expensive for what they are. The next supplement is going to be a fiber powder. So this will probably be hard to tell from the picture, but this is Equate. This is a Walmart brand of a unflavored fiber powder. So I think that a fiber powder is another C tier supplement. This is going to be kind of similar to the protein powder, which we're going to talk about in a little bit here. Technically, we can get fiber through our whole food sources. The reality of the situation is that most people are probably not eating fruits and veggies in the amounts that they need to in order to hit their daily fiber intakes. And in a situation like that, a fiber powder is an excellent way to make that happen. Now, on the flip side, if you are eating enough fruits and vegetables in order to hit your recommended daily fiber intake, you probably do not need to take a fiber powder, very similarly to the BCAAs and the EAAs. So I would just keep that in mind. This is going to be another one of those supplements that you kind of have to assess on an individual basis and take a look at your own individual diet and lifestyle and kind of see how those things play out. But for the most part, I think that fiber powders are kind of like the electrolyte powders. They're very cheap and they're very inexpensive. You can't really go wrong with them, but you technically can get your fiber from your food sources, so it may not be a very essential supplement for you, but it can be a beneficial one if you're someone who's not a fruit or veggie eater. Next supplement is fish oil. No surprise here if you guys have been watching my content. I think that fish oil is an A-tier supplement. The list of benefits from fish oils is literally so long that I couldn't even begin to mention it. Just so many health benefits to taking fish oils. I think that they are absolutely non-negotiable. Now, kind of similar to the fiber powder that I just talked about, you can technically get your omega-3s and your fish oils throughout your diet, but it is pretty rare that people are eating the foods that they need to be eating in order to be hitting those omega-3 numbers. A lot of the foods where you're going to see these in are going to be in flax seeds, amongst any other things, and then wild-caught fatty fish. A lot of the fish oil supplements, the fish oil is extracted from sardines, anchovies, salmon, haddock, a couple other sources that they can use. But for the most part, people are probably not eating wild-caught sardines and anchovies and salmon on a regular basis or eating flax seeds in order to be getting their omega-3s. And so an omega-3 supplement, in my opinion, is one of those must-haves. I do think that you need to have this in your arsenal. just for overall health levels. Not only if you're a weightlifter, but people in general, everyone listening to this video, even if you don't go to the gym and even if you don't eat healthy, do yourself a favor and I would take an omega-3 fish oil supplement. So you're looking for around 1,000 milligrams per day of EPA and DHA combined. So just make sure that you're checking the labels of the fish oil supplement that you buy. Some of them you can only take one serving and get your full recommended daily intake. Others you may have to take like 4 or 5 tablets to get the recommended amount. So just make sure that you're taking a look at the labels. You want to try and get around a gram, 1,000 milligrams of the omega-3s per day. And I highly, highly recommend that you do that. The next supplement is going to be a greens powder. And I think that a greens powder is a B tier supplement for sure. I think that greens powders are awesome. My personal preferred greens powder is the Ghost Greens. It has a really good panel of fruits and veggies and everything in there. And then it also has a probiotic and a digestive enzyme mix as well. And it's one of the few greens powders that I've taken that doesn't taste like complete shit, because a lot of these just literally taste like you went to your backyard and you grabbed a handful of grass and you ate grass. I mean, a lot of these taste really, really bad. So the Ghost Greens is my personal preferred one. Kind of similar to the fish oil and the fiber powder, you can technically get all your fruits and veggies in throughout your diet, but it's pretty rare that people are actually doing that. And the less and less fruits and veggies that you eat, the more important that a greens powder becomes, in my opinion. I think especially in a bulking phase, these become even more common and more popular and beneficial. When you're dieting, it's pretty common that people will be eating more veggies in their diet because of the fiber intake, because veggies are lower in calories and higher in overall food volume. It's very common that people get on top of their veggie game when they're in a diet. And on the flip side, when they're in a bulk and their food is very, very high, it can be easier and easier and easier to kind of slip off the fruits and veggies powder. So for myself, the way that I use my greens powders is when I'm dieting and I'm eating veggies and I have good variety within my diet, I typically don't take a greens powder at all. Or if I do take it, I'll only take it once per day. When I'm in peak bulk, the odds that I'm eating veggies in my diet are very, very low. And in that instance, I will take a greens supplement daily. And ideally, I would take it twice per day, just because in a bulk, I'm not eating any veggies at all typically. So I try to make up for that somewhat by taking a fruits and veggies powder. I do want to make it very clear that a greens supplement will not replace eating your actual greens. There's a lot of phytonutrients and enzymes and a lot of other things that are available in the actual veggies themselves that are not available in an actual powder. But if you're in a position where you're not going to eat veggies or you don't want to eat veggies, I do think that a greens powder is better than nothing. But let's just make it very clear that the actual fruits and veggies themselves are better than a greens powder. But there are certain instances where they just don't make sense to use. Okay, next, mass gainers. I kind of talked about this one earlier. This is the Optimum Nutrition Serious Mass, which is a pretty common mass gainer. I also think that mass gainers are an F tier supplement. I think the vast majority of the mass gainers that are out there on the market are garbage. They basically have a cheap protein source like a whey protein concentrate. Maybe you get lucky and find one that has a whey protein isolate in it. But for the most part, most mass gainers are just whey protein concentrate and a very cheap carbohydrate powder like dextrose or maltodextrin. So you're basically drinking cheap protein and sugar. Now, a lot of the good mass gainers that are out there are whole food based. So the carbohydrates, instead of coming from maltodextrin and sugars, they may come from oats or sweet potatoes or blueberries or things like that. And the protein may come from like beef protein isolate, egg protein isolate, and things like that. So that would be a better option, a whole food mass gainer. But even with the whole food mass gainers, it's my personal opinion that you can make your own whole food mass gainer for quite a bit cheaper than one that you can buy at the store. And it's probably going to taste better. And it's probably going to be digesting easier for you. and it's probably going to be healthier for you in the long run. So even, we have like a good, better, best type of scenario. I think a good option would be the serious mass that you see here. I think a better option would be a whole food mass gainer or meal replacement. Axe and Sledge, which is the same company that makes this demo day here, they make a great one that's called Homemade. Redcon One makes a whole food meal replacement that's called MRE. And I think that that would be the better option. But I think the best option would be to make your own homemade mass gainer where you blend up oats, peanut butter, milk, ice cream, fruit, whey protein, stuff like that. And you make your own homemade mass gainer that has just as many calories and just as much protein and carbs as the store-bought mass gainers. But those protein, carbs, and calories are coming from much cleaner, healthier sources that are going to cause less overall levels of inflammation in the body, less digestive distress, and is going to taste better and will probably be cheaper for you in the long run than buying these big tubs of protein and sugar, basically. So serious mass and all mass gainers, I really think are another one of those like really overhyped supplements that really isn't super duper necessary in my opinion. And I think that there are better alternatives out there that you can use. Next supplement, we are going to be going over multivitamins. So this may be another kind of controversial one. So I think that multivitamins are a C tier supplement. And the only reason why I kind of think this is because a lot of the multivitamin literature that I have seen seems to be kind of conflicting. I've seen a lot of literature that shows that multivitamins are beneficial for you and that they contain all of the vitamins and everything that the label says. And then I've seen a lot of literature that shows that people will take a multivitamin compared to a placebo when the multivitamin doesn't do anything. And then I've heard some stories of these multivitamins getting lab tested, and the multivitamin is supposed to have 100 milligrams of vitamin A and it has 3. Like the labels aren't accurate. So just because of the conflicting research, I put multivitamins in the C category. At this current point in time, I do not take a multivitamin myself. And really, again, that just has to do with the conflicting research on them. And at the moment, I'm really kind of struggling to find a multivitamin that doesn't upset my stomach. There will be a lot of multivitamins that I will take, and just literally adding in the multivitamin and the multivitamin only causes me some pretty bad gastric distress and diarrhea. So I'm still kind of trying to find a multivitamin that I like. My recommendation is that if you are looking for a multivitamin, I would get a multivitamin from a company that's very reputable. Garden of Life, Life Extension, Jarrow Formula, Thorn, amongst a bunch of other companies out there that are really, really reputable. I would make sure that you get one from a company that is reputable and trustworthy, that you know is actually going to be containing a lot of the ingredients that you are paying for. I would probably stay away from those. I don't know I think Centrum is one of the brands, like the ones that you can go buy at Walmart, like a 6-month supply for $10. If you can buy a 6-month supply of something for $10, it's probably not going to be the best quality thing that you can imagine. I mean, just think about the profit margin and loss on that. So I would just keep that in mind. I do not currently take a multivitamin right now. I don't know if I can say conclusively that I think that multivitamins are beneficial. I don't know if I can say conclusively that multivitamins are a waste of money. And so I kind of put them somewhere there in the middle. If you've got some extra money left over and you're trying to tick every box and be the best that you can be, then maybe I would invest in a good quality multivitamin. But if you're like financially strapped, I think that there are better things to spend your money on from a muscle building perspective. The next category of supplements is going to be nootropics. So I'm using the Alpha Brain here. This seems to be a very, very popular one right now. From my experience, I think that nootropics are actually a D tier supplement. I've taken a lot of nootropic supplements in my life, whether they are like all-in-one complexes like the Alpha Brain is, which has like a bunch of different ingredients in it, or whether they're single ingredients on their own, like lion's mane, huperzine, tyrosine. I've tried a lot of those, and I have really never gotten anything from them. I just want to be very clear about that. So I'm sure that there's going to be people out there who have taken nootropics and they're the bee's knees for them. You know what I mean? I think that they're a fairly decent product for them. But for me and my experience and a couple of the clients that I know that have used nootropics, they really haven't gotten anything like life-changing out of them, for lack of a better word. So at least with myself, I don't notice anything from a nootropic that I don't get with just taking caffeine. So I would rather take caffeine because it's a lot cheaper and just as effective as the nootropics. So again, that may be one that ruffles some feathers, but I personally am of the opinion that nootropics aren't anything like super duper crazy. And I think that they're often a little bit more like overhyped than what they really are. Pre-workout. This is going to drive people crazy. I'm going to get some crazy DMs about this one, but I think that pre-workout is a D tier supplement. So really the main benefit of pre-workout that I see is just simply caffeine. Like people are taking pre-workout to get caffeine. But if you're just taking the pre-workout to get caffeine, you can get the benefits of the caffeine by just buying caffeine pills and save yourself a ton of money. Like I said, with the caffeine pills, I got some in my cabinet right now, 100 pills, 200 milligrams each. It cost me $5. I mean, these pre-workouts are anywhere from 20 to 30 servings, and they cost anywhere from 50 to 60 bucks. And when I used to work at GNC, I would get people coming in every single month and spending 60 bucks a month every single month just to buy pre-workout. And obviously, as I said, the main ingredient that's in pre-workout is just caffeine. So the way that I see pre-workout supplements, I think that pre-workout supplements are overpriced caffeine powder. That's basically what they are. And I know like everyone listening to this video is going to be like, what about citrulline? What about beta-alanine and all of those other ingredients and stuff that are in there? My personal opinion on those ingredients are that those ingredients are not ingredients that actually make your workouts better. They make your workouts feel better, but they don't actually improve the performance of your workouts. So what do I mean by that? Let's say that I'm going to go into the gym tomorrow and I'm going to do a 200-pound chest press, and like my maximum capacity would be like 10 reps with 200 pounds, where like rep 10 is like everything that I got and there's no way that I can get an 11th rep. If I take caffeine before my workout, the caffeine being a performance boosting ingredient gives me a better chance of hitting 11 reps instead of 10. Like caffeine is an ingredient that will actually improve the performance of your workouts. It will actually help you get more reps and stuff in your workouts. If I take citrulline before I go to the gym and I bench 200 pounds for 10 reps, the citrulline is not going to help me get an 11th rep. It will make the 200 pounds for 10 reps that I did feel better. I'll have a better pump because of it, because the blood vessels are more dilated. But the citrulline itself is not actually making my workout better. It's making my workout feel better. And in my opinion, I don't want to spend money on things that only give me a sensation. They make the workout feel good, but they don't actually make the workout better on its own. Basically, when I think of a pre-workout supplement, I think of flavored caffeine powder, and then it's got a bunch of other things in there that kind of like trick me into thinking that I've had a really good workout, when realistically the only ingredient that was in the pre-workout that actually made like a massive difference in my performance was the caffeine. And I could have gotten the same benefits if I had just taken a caffeine pill that cost me 10 cents instead of taking a scoop of pre-workout that cost me $3. I mean, like I said, man, some of these pre-workouts are $60 for 20 servings. $3 a scoop of pre-workout for basically some caffeine powder. I know there's a lot of people out there that love pre-workouts, and obviously I don't want to rain on your parade. And if you're someone who likes spending money on pre-workouts and likes those things, then, obviously ignore what I'm saying. But if we're strictly looking at like whether or not a supplement is worth the money that you invest into it, I don't think that pre-workout is one of those. Like I said, I had people that were coming in at GNC all the time and would spend $60 a month on pre-workout. And if they took that $60, they could buy fish oil and creatine for a month. And maybe have some money left over to go to the grocery store and get some beef or something. You know what I mean? Like when I think of $60 sitting in my pocket, like some people think about spending that $60 on a tub of pre-workout, but there are way more beneficial things that I would spend that $60 on than a tub of pre-workout. But again, that's just me. Next supplement is probiotics. So I think that probiotics are also a D tier supplement, kind of very similar to the nootropic thing. I've taken a lot of different probiotics in my day and a lot of different doses, and I never really noticed anything crazy from them. I think at this point, we kind of have pretty well established through literature and everything that if we want more probiotics in our diet, our best chance and best way of getting that is by eating probiotic rich foods and fermented foods, yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi, amongst a bunch of other things. So if you're someone who has like real big stomach problems, digestive issues, I would much rather you get your probiotics from a whole food source than try to get your probiotics through a supplement. There's just a lot of things that could go on with these probiotic supplements. There are some probiotic supplements that you have to keep refrigerated because the probiotics themselves seem to be kind of susceptible to heat and moisture. Some probiotics you don't have to keep refrigerated. How do you know which ones you have to keep refrigerated and which ones you don't? How do you know if the bottle actually has in it what it says on it? This bottle says it's got a 10 billion CFU probiotic strain per serving, but how do we actually know if that's the case? So if probiotics are something that you're after, I really do think that it's going to be in your best interest to try and get those through a probiotic rich food instead of trying to take a probiotic supplement. Like I said, I just really have never mentioned or noticed much from a probiotic supplement when I've taken one in terms of actually helping my digestive issues. So as far as I'm concerned, there are more important things to spend your money on than a probiotic supplement. All right, we're getting close to the end here. So the next one, whey protein. I think that whey protein is a B tier supplement. Very similar thought process to the greens. You can get your full recommended protein intake through solid food. And if you are getting your full recommended protein intake through solid food, you do not need to use a whey protein powder. But a lot of people do struggle to hit their protein intake without using a protein supplement. And if that is you, then I think that whey protein is a very, very beneficial supplement for you to use. If you are buying a whey protein, I would buy a whey protein from a reputable brand that makes a good quality product. And then obviously make sure that you're getting a protein powder that digests well with you. It's very common that protein powders bloat a lot of people or cause digestive issues. And this is obviously a different topic for a different day. But if the foods that you're eating are not digesting well with you, there's a very good chance that your body is not absorbing and utilizing all of the nutrients and the minerals that are in them. So I would just keep that in mind. Like I said, conditionally or technically not necessary. You can hit your whole food intake or protein intake through whole food, and that would be preferred. But there isn't anything wrong with whey protein. There will be a lot of people that will say that whole food is better than whey protein, and I don't believe that's the case. I think the literature on whey protein is pretty straightforward, that it's one of, if not the most bioavailable sources of protein that we have available to us. But at the same time, I don't think there's anything magic about whey protein. There will be people that say you need to take a protein shake after your workout because it digests considerably quicker and all of those anabolic window types of things. I don't think that that's the case either. I think protein powder very largely comes down to a convenience-based thing. If you're someone who's very busy and just doesn't have time to make meals in the morning or in the afternoon, having a shake is absolutely better than nothing. And then in certain certain instances, I like to have shakes when I'm not hungry, particularly post-training and particularly post-legs. When I finish a leg workout, man, I feel like not violently sick, but I feel pretty sick. Like I feel nauseous after a leg workout. And after a leg workout, I need to eat, right? I need to replenish my muscle glycogen. I need to trigger muscle protein synthesis and prevent muscle protein breakdown. But trying to do that through a whole food meal after a leg workout is very challenging. And in an instance like that, like no matter how nauseous I feel or how sick I feel, I can make a shake and I can drink that and I can get that in with no issues. So I do think that whey protein is a very, very, very beneficial supplement. Technically not necessary, but very, very beneficial nonetheless. I do think that everybody should have a tub of whey protein powder in their supplement cabinet. At the absolute worst, you just have it on hand where if something comes up and you don't have time to get a meal in, you have an option for a quick protein source available to you. Two more supplements left. So next we have the sleep aids. So I think that sleep aids are a D tier supplement. I think that they're realistically probably isn't going to be anything that's in a sleep aid that you can't mimic yourself, basically. If you guys are followers of my TikTok content, you'll be aware that I talk about sleep hygiene a lot and getting in a good sleep hygiene routine to make sure that your sleep quality and quantity are on point. And those are all things that you can do naturally. You can get more sleep and you can get better quality sleep naturally without needing to use supplements in order to help you do that. If you're someone who really struggles with your sleep, I strongly encourage you to take a look at your sleep hygiene routine and take a look at your sleep habits and try and fix those first before you take a sleep aid. You can take the best sleep aid on the planet, but the reality of the situation is that if you're taking a sleep aid and 10 minutes before you're supposed to go to bed, you've got your face up in the screen playing video games, playing Call of Duty, and you're taking in a bunch of blue light and you're triggering your nervous system to be in a fight or flight response, and you're not doing the things that you need to do in order to kind of calm your body down and relax your body down to prepare it to get a good night's sleep, you very, very much need to address those things first before you get a sleep aid. If you have ticked every single one of those boxes and you still can't get good sleep, which I would have a hard time believing, by the way, if you do the things that you need to do, you should get good sleep. It's pretty simple as that. But if for whatever reason you're one of the few people out there who has tried everything, you've got the blue light blocker glasses, you've got the blackout blinds and stuff on your windows, like you're doing everything that you need to do in order to prepare yourself to go to bed, and you still can't do it, then maybe you could look at a sleep aid. But I would never, ever, ever recommend someone do a sleep aid without taking a look at their lifestyle first and trying to make some changes there. Final supplement is going to be testosterone boosters, and I am going to place this as an F tier supplement as well. Pretty much all of the thoughts that I gave on the fat burners, I am going to give on the test boosters as well. All of the good test boosters that work are not legal for you to buy, so there's a very, very good chance that the stuff that you buy in the store is going to be very ineffective for you. This is going to apply to all of the testosterone boosters, even the natural stuff. People are going to ask about Tongkat. People are going to ask about, there's another one out there that I can't even think of right now that's super popular, but all of those. Basically, if you can go to the store and you can buy it, it's probably not going to do anything super duper crazy for you. If it was doing super crazy things for everyone that took it, like it would be sold out. It would be the most popular product on the planet. But the unfortunate reality of the situation is that if you have actual real hormonal issues, you have some issues with your endocrine system that is preventing you from metabolizing testosterone or regulating your own levels of testosterone, you're going to want to see an endocrinologist and you're going to want to see a medical professional. And from my experience, the thing that's going to help you out the best with that is to get on a legitimate testosterone replacement therapy. I think it's nice to think that we can just go to the store and we can take these pills and it will undo all of our hormonal issues. but from a lot of the literature and stuff on a lot of these ingredients, I would not expect a miracle with these things at all. And these particular testosterone boosters seem to be very, very expensive. So keep that in mind too. It would be one thing if you're getting some sort of benefit from them, but a lot of times I think it's placebo. And often I don't think that placebo is worth the hefty price tag that a lot of these testosterone boosters carry. Okay, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me talk about some supplements. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of you guys that disagree with a lot of the things that I put in here. And so if that is the case, I would actually like to hear your rebuttals in the comments. So let me know if there was anything that I put somewhere that you would have put elsewhere. I'd be very interested to hear about that. Again, just keep in mind, this is my own personal opinion. As always, if you guys have any questions or anything, please feel free to leave them as a comment, and I will get back to you guys as soon as I can. Hopefully you enjoyed a video like this. This is something a little bit different than my typical, sitting and talking about X's and O's and training and stuff. We'll kind of have a little fun and talk about some supplements and stuff here. So any questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really appreciate the support as always. And I will see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves, guys.